Okay, give you a little history of the Armadillo. I myself was a contractor. I started back in 1979, and as I, went along and did projects, I had a good memory for remembering what worked and what didn't work. And after about 17, 18 years, then I just started to develop the Armadillo machine. And the reason I did was to give the clients what they wanted. What they wanted was a machine that was fast. They wanted, because of their downtime. I started an ethanol plant. The downtime in that one particular small ethanol plant was $10,000 an hour to be down. They used to pay me to come from northern Minnesota to southern Minnesota. And I finally pulled the manager of the plant aside and I said, why are you paying me to come down and clean your plant when you got all these other contractors right around here in Minneapolis? And he goes, Dan, I'm going to give you a lesson in economics. So he gave me the lesson in economics, and then he told me, he says, you know how much it costs for our plant to be down? I said, nope. He says, $10,000 an hour. And that's a small plant. I said, oh. And he says, you know the last plant you did? He said, how many hours did it take you to clean all them tubes? I said, about 18 hours. He goes, you know what the contractor did before you? I said, nope, ain't got a clue. He says, about 46 hours. He says, and I add up the $10,000 an hour it cost us to be down. And he says, worth it for me to pay you from the time you leave your shop till the time you get back. I'm like, whoa. I said, I kind of like this. Well, he shouldn't have told me that. Because the next time around I went to that plant, guess what? I doubled my rates. Which is okay, okay? That's how I got started with the Armadillo. What I did was I had to develop the technology so that I could control how fast the hose went in, how fast it came out. So I did that. Went from 3 feet a minute being the slowest all the way up to 30 feet a minute because you never know what tubes you're going to be in. Is it going to be hard? Is it going to be soft? And then I realized I had to control the RPMs. How fast am I going to rotate that hose with that tip on there? Okay, if I got hard material, I'm going to slow down the RPMs to give the dwell time for those jets to do their cutting. Okay, everybody got that? You know, it's there's a science. I read his book, Mr. Savinek here, okay, and I understood water jetting from reading his book. So I applied that technology to this machine. We have letters of recommendation on our website from every major corporation, a lot of the major corporations in the world, including Exxon, including Shell Oil, International Paper, Citgo, some chemical plants, ethanol plants. They said they've never seen anything like this. What they like is the production. But I'm not going to BS you guys. If you don't train your people, if you don't keep crews that are familiar with the equipment, you're going to have problems. Okay? It's not for you. If you're a company that ain't willing to take the time to train your people and do the job that you need to do out in the field, including maintenance, then this machine isn't for you. But if you're willing to do that, guess what? 3 months ago, I went out, I could have got 2 contracts. They offered them to me. Major companies right now. And I was just out trying to promote the Armadillo, and they said, well, come in here and start doing the cleaning. And I says, I can't. That's up for other people to do. The work is out there for this machine. Okay? And it's very profitable if you know how to handle it. Okay? On average, you can clean a tube twice as fast as anybody by hand, and faster than some automated machines because of the adjustments and the design of the tips. Okay? Last thing we did was for 4 years I've worked on tip improvement. Actually got the tips, sent them out a month and a half ago, which is probably our 10th round. We now have a rock well of 60 on our tips. I sent them out to California. The guy put the tips on the machine. Called a couple days later. He says, damn, the tips aren't wearing out. He says, you got it. You got it. All right. So I'm going to offer this to any of these contractors out here. If you've got tips that you want to put on projects and not have to worry about them wearing out, get a hold of us. We'll give you a quote on the tips, and we're not way out of the realm on pricing. Put the tips on that it's going to last for a project for you guys. Okay? I was a contractor. I hated when the tips wore out. Before I figured these tips out, I was changing the tips on this machine every 2 hours. Every 2 hours. Okay. Now I can run them for days on that same tip. And you say, well, how do you wear a tip out every 2 hours? Well, I limit the number of jets in my nozzle. If I've got two jets, I'm sitting there, that's 150 horsepower per jet. Now you know why they wear out. They're not wearing out anymore, guys. That was a great success for us. Okay, so we got the speed control in and out, and we got the rotation. I'll demonstrate that for you guys, and then we'll fire it up. What we're going to clean is the bauxite tube. Everybody that's familiar with aluminum plants knows bauxite is the toughest material in the world. Okay, and I'm going to go through that tube probably in about 20 seconds. Okay. And I'll show you that this machine is what it is. Okay? Thank you all. One thing that I forgot here is I want to show you guys the indexer. If you ever got a heat exchanger that is not straight, this indexer, it's patented, but it adjusts to whatever, is sitting in front of you. If the heat exchanger is cocked, I can make the indexer cocked, to fit it. So that's another thing I'll show. Well, it's a little bit slower than I'd like it to be because, you know, the heat exchanger isn't going to move, but my little index or my little stand for the tube is going to move. Okay, so I wasn't able to put full pressure on it, otherwise I'd tip the stand over. Okay, I invite anybody that wants to look inside that tube and see how clean it is. And again, you just witnessed bauxite, which is the toughest material in the world to clean. And that tube is spotless right now. Okay? Thank you for your attention. If you've got any questions, we can help you out. Stop by our booth. All right.